All right, welcome back into The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. We are joined by a three-time Olympic gold medalist, a World Cup champion. We're actually going to have to spread out the resume and kind of check in throughout the interview because it's so long. Heather O'Reilly joins the show. Heather, thank you for taking the
Yeah,
time.
thanks for having me, Tim.
We're going to talk about the soccer tournament. We'll talk about the FC series and everything. But first, I was hoping we'd have jewelry here. Where are the gold medals?
The goods. They are at my house. It's actually funny because I kept saying I'm going to put them on a nice display, but people want to see them sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you, I didn't get the memo that you want me to bring them in.
It's all right.
So as of now, they're essentially like in like a sock drawer, which you always hear from Olympians. They don't ever do anything cool with them. But I think it's about time. I wanted to make sure that I retired. Before I put them in a more permanent display. And the last couple of years of my professional career, I was like, oh, should I be done? Should I not be done? So I was kind of hemming and hawing with retiring for a long time because I just love this game so much. But now at age 39 with two kids, I am finally done. But I still can play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I still can lace them up and play in charity matches. And of
things
course,
like the soccer tournament.
Yes, of course. TST, which we'll get into.
So the two kids, have they gotten to play with the gold medals or the trophies? They
are only 3 and 2. Actually,
right.
My son Will had his final day of 3-year-old preschool.
Congrats.
Yes, yeah, he made it, and so did we. And so the teachers had asked at some point, if I could do a little soccer clinic for his class, and then I was like, oh shoot, it's the last day coming up. So I was like, let's do it for the last day of school. We'll do a little kick around. And I feel like that was the first time because the teachers were, of course, all excited about asking me questions about the Olympic. Thank you. And Will, my son, I think was kind of just getting it. My mom is kind of cool. He knows that I'm cool because I'm his mom, of course. But I think that he's finally seeing me on television or seeing me on a field after a game at say UNC or something like that. And I think he's kind of getting the gist that I'm not just a normal mommy. I'm his soccer coach mommy, former professional mommy.
All-time great. You brought up UNC legend, jersey retired. He's starting to get a little bit of that. Let me ask you this real quickly here because, using the term legend and all that I think is appropriate. Not many people have been kind of at the center of the sports world and then additionally having kind of the women's sports thing on your shoulder. When you're watching Caitlin Clark and some of these conversations coming from the OGs towards her, how do you react and maybe what's some advice for Caitlin?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would just say that I'm so happy for women's basketball that they're having this moment, right? And so much goes on in the shadows, right? I mean, just year after year, and somebody like Caitlin Clark, and I'd say the same about Steph Curry, right? Shooting the basketball like that probably takes, they say the 10,000-hour rule, right? But so many nights probably in her driveway or just, or playing AAU all summer long when her friends are out doing other things. That's the side of it that I now know as a female athlete in particular, because we're in the shadows perhaps a little bit more or more frequently than the guys. So I guess I just appreciate the consistency and the dedication to her craft. And I think that the only thing that I would say to this young generation, and I'm happy, obviously, I was on the shoulders of those that came before me. And I think that I sort of passed the baton to this new generation, which what an honor. It's the honor of my life, right? That I played with Mia Hamm and that I also played with Mallory Swanson and of course, Alex Morgan and players like that. But I just say don't lose the plot. And what I mean by that is, yes, there's a lot of off-field stuff, off-court stuff. There's money, there's endorsements there, and you get what's yours, certainly. But let your playing be your main priority, because if it's not, things are going to fade out. And if it is your priority, you're going to have a long, healthy, and happy career. So, as hard as it is to steer clear of all the distractions, surround yourself with the best people that'll say hey, get off TikTok and go shoot. Go on, get off Instagram and go do that workout that you said that you were going to do. We can't lose the plot. and let's just let the basketball and the soccer speak for itself. And I think that that's what Caitlin Clark did. That was, and I don't want to get into like, oh, just dribble the basketball, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But truly, she ignited the nation
Mhm.
by her basketball and being super good at her craft. So I think that was very pure, and I respected it.
We're talking with Heather O'Reilly, World Cup champ, three-time Olympic gold medalist. She'll be participating in the soccer tournament June 5th to 10th, 2024, obviously. WakeMed Soccer Park in Cary. 118 matches. There'll be the U.S. women's team that Heather's a part of. There's a whole bunch of superstars from the soccer world and other worlds. J.J. Watt, Pat McAfee, and Ojo Cinco amongst them at the soccer tournament. You bring up kind of that passing of the torch, right? One of the things about the Caitlin Clark situation that's so interesting is it's Diana Taurasi, it's Sue Bird talking about her. What were like, you look at your first World Cup, you're 19 years old, youngest on the roster. There's Mia Hamm, there's Foudy, there's Fawcett, there's Lily, there's all these legends. What were they like as OGs? Did they look at you and say, yeah, you'll see. It's not that easy, youngster? Did they give you that kind
um,
of vibe?
I think it was tough love, but like I feel as if they recognize that like I could play and I could help the team, and it's not like they babied me or bullied me, right? Like I think that they treated me the appropriate amount. And I do remember like an interview with Brandy Chastain that she
Mm,
did, and she was talking about me scoring the game winner in the 2004 Olympics, and Mia was retiring. And so I think the shape of the interview was basically like, okay, Heather scored, 19 years old. Is she the next Mia?
mm.
And I remember
From
that,
UNC.
yeah, and I remember that Brandy, pretty ruthlessly is like, she scored a goal. She scored a goal. Like essentially, like what Mia has done is just like her body of work is so long and is so impressive. Like it wasn't disrespectful, but it was basically like, okay, kid, you've done it once, but can you do it over and over and over again for like, major tournaments when there's 50 people in the crowd, when there's 50,000 people in the stands, like, can you have that kind of longevity? And I remember her saying that and me taking it as kind of like a dare, like I respected it. But I think that the players were always very encouraging. I remember this one day in particular where it was old school, right? Like we were running sort of fitness, like
Mm.
it was an aerobic kind of running circuit that they were putting us through. And some of the older players, probably the less fit ones, were like, hey guys, like let's stay together and
That's an
run
old
this.
school conditioning move,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
nobody
Like
gets left behind, that
nobody
way
get no,
nobody pulls away.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But like here I was, this young kid that like running was my thing, and I was on the cusp of making the team. And so therefore, from my perspective, I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't stay with the group. If I'm one of the group, I'm not going to make this team. I need to show like what I'm excellent at and how to literally and figuratively like separate myself from the crew. And I remember running next to Mia and being like a little bit self-conscious, like this
Mm.
is going to be a bit of an arrogant move. And this is Mia Hamm we're
Mhm.
talking about. And I sort of whispered to her, I'm like, hey, Mia, like, I'm going to go ahead. Is that like okay?
Mhm.
And I like remember it clear as day. She was like, go, you need to go. And
That's
like,
cool of her.
that's so cool. And I
Yeah.
just like, of course, like busted forward. And yeah, I mean, who knows if that was like what helped me make the team, but I think it was really an image of this like very confident, hungry kid that was literally like maybe 30 to 50 yards ahead of the rest of the
Mhm.
group. And I think for the coaches, they were kind of like, all right, like Heather's different.
Mhm.
And also like, yeah, I did sort of respect the sisterhood, and I didn't want to like rub anybody the wrong way, but I know from those women that sisterhood, steel sharpens steel, and I
Mhm.
was going to do no service to the team by holding back. And so yeah, I think that those women did sort of show me the way, but in a tough love appropriate fashion.
Heather O'Reilly connecting with us right here in studio. Coming to her old stomping grounds in Chapel Hill, the FC series, Man City versus Celtic FC, Keenan Stadium in Chapel Hill. That's July 23rd. Tickets on sale now at fcseries.com. Heather, I have a little bit of a lightning round here
Yeah, let's go.
before we let you hit
Okay.
the things you need to talk about. So I have 6-ish questions here.
All right.
Some UNC, some others, and we'll see how it goes. All right. Favorite spot on Franklin Street?
Carolina Coffee Shop, which I am part of the ownership group, so I have to give my shameless plug there.
Perfect. That worked out better than I thought. Bigger rival, Duke or NC State?
Oh my gosh, is that even a question?
So, to some people,
it might be a question, but of course, Duke is the major rival.
World Cup or Olympic gold?
World Cup as a soccer player is the pinnacle. Before, when we hadn't won a World Cup in a while, we were always like, well, the Olympics is good too, because we kept winning the Olympics. But if you're being serious, the World Cup is the pinnacle of the sport. So I'll go World Cup.
Favorite goal you've scored?
I scored a very good goal in the 2011 World Cup. It was probably my best, cleanest strike of my life. It was about 30 yards out, but it being 10 years plus, it still like finds itself on the internet, because it was a World Cup goal and it was a banger. It was on like all the top 10 goals of the year and stuff like that. So against Colombia, group play in the World Cup 2011.
Other than the gold medals and the trophies, coolest piece of memorabilia you've kept from your career?
My 2 sons.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go. That works.
Does that count?
Yeah, sure. I mean, souvenirs or memorabilia.
Yeah. Besides Will and Jack, my 2 babies, I think one of my other favorite pieces I was just telling someone this the other day. In 2015, not only did we win the World Cup, but my club team at the time, I played for FC Kansas City. We also won the NWSL Championship. We were one of those like kind of not ragtag teams. Like we had a quality team, but
so you were on the juggernaut and the ragtag bunch at the same time.
But we were good. Yeah. But it was like one of those, like, we didn't have a lot of resources, the club, but we didn't care because we were like a good squad. So we were like, I don't care. We'll wear a white t-shirt and kick everybody's butt. We don't care, right? And we won, and our rings got misprinted NSWL instead of NWSL. And it was just kind of like, it was so fitting for like the club and the team and stuff like that. And we were given the opportunity to like exchange it because they were all embarrassed and something. And I was like, no way, I want that one. So I have my NSWL ring in my like jewelry box. So that's a good piece too.
Speaking of other places you've played, Dublin, Ireland or London, England?
You know what? I think as a footballer, playing for Arsenal was a little bit more prestigious than playing for Shelburne FC. But like O'Reilly, I got my Irish roots, and I feel like I vibe with the Irish people quite a bit better than the English. They're just like so much more fun and friendly.
Donnelly, I get that. Rank these UNC athletes: Julius Peppers, Mia Hamm, Michael Jordan.
Oof. Jeez. I think you got to go Jordan, Hamm, Peppers.
Fair. That's what I would have done as well. Let's quickly run through the details one more time. The soccer tournament, which we were just talking about, June 5th to 10th, WakeMed Soccer Park in Cary. 118 matches, 56 teams, 2 separate $1 million championship prizes. The soccer festival brings together the biggest names in soccer, sports, and entertainment. Heather O'Reilly will be leading U.S. women's team. Sergio Aguero has committed to a team of his own. There's Balotelli for his squad. There's NFLers, J.J. Watt, Pat McAfee, and Chad Ochocinco. A really, really cool event. It was big last year. It's getting bigger this year. And then also the FC Series coming to Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, UNC territory. Man City versus Celtic FC, Tuesday, July 23rd. Tickets on sale now, fcseries.com. Anything else we have to hit? We have to make sure. Did we get all the details there?
I think we got all the details.
I know they're parading you around.
Very, very big events coming up this summer in our backyard. So if you're a soccer fan or if you're not, I'd still check them out because we got the world's best characters and personalities coming to this area.
That's Heather O'Reilly, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, World Cup champion, and so much more. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Tim.